This is the back side of a bracket fungus. And this is the underside. If you carve out the underside and carefully leave a slender strip as a wick, you can make a good stove out of it. But if you should happen to break the wick when you're trying to cut it out, you can take a couple thorns and stand the wick up and stick them back in there, and you can make a stove like this. Now I've set it up in a suitable windproof location because I'm outside right now and it's kind of breezy. But the next thing I got to do is fill this bowl up with oil, and I want to maintain my oil level just above my thorns so that the thorns don't catch on fire. And as you can see, when the bowl is properly leveled, it holds a good oil level, and it doesn't leak out because it's a hard lacquer shell bracket fungus. And I've lit both wicks, and because the wicks are both about an inch or so wide, they'll put off plenty of light and plenty of heat. See, both wicks are burning really good now. My stove isn't catching on fire, even though it's just a wooden bracket fungus. And it is going to be cold tonight, so while I'm inside my shelter, I'm going to set this rock over top of the flames, and the flames will heat this rock up, and the rock will radiate heat, and I can help warm myself tonight. In fact, all three of these stones will heat up, and they'll radiate heat, and they'll warm my shelter for me. And so long as I keep the flames burning and keep the rocks warm, I'll have plenty of heat. So if I have a shelter that blocks out the wind, this 3-stone and lamp heater is an extremely effective heat source. And even on the coldest of nights in the middle of winter, in the northern winter, this kind of a heat source right here is much to want. It's almost daylight on a cold, frosty morning. It's good to have a nice little oil fire. Now that it's gotten daylight enough to see, I'll discuss some more tools with you. One of those things is this knapping tool right here. See, it's just a piece of wood that looks like a hand, well, thumb and fingers, then a round stone like this that has a ledge on it, see, and a suitable stone to use for an arrowhead, like this one here. Yeah, I made that one. And what you do is you set your arrowhead in there, so that the thumb holds the stone tightly against your anvil block. And then what you can do is take another stone that looks like a thumb, see? And you can use it for a pressure flaking tool to strike off your little chunks. And see, that holds that stone with absolute precision. And it also helps me direct and control where I want my chips to flake off and where I don't want them to flake off. See? So this thumb in hand makes a perfect knapping tool, and it will allow you to make arrowheads that look very much like this. And for the larger work, I use this stone right here, this knapping tool, this hammer rock, to strike off the bigger flakes and chips, and it kind of looks like a hippopotamus. See, it's got a nice great big nose on it right there, perfect for striking off those blanks. And that's a really good tool right there also. If you want to shatter off big chunks of stone, you might want to use a pry bar like this pry bar right here, and I'll show you how to use that. What you need is the base of a tree, well, a big chunk of stone, and or your hand and thumb like that. And what you do is you find a suitable space to wedge that branch into, like I have right here. And you can firmly set this down on the ground, and you can use it to pry off chunks of stone. And it'll wedge right up in there, and it gives you plenty of pressure to pry down onto this with, so you can break off those slabs of stone. And even if you don't have a knapping tool to break the big flakes off of, or the blanks, you can use a tool like this to press off the blanks. And the thing about pressing off your blanks is when you press them off like that, you get great big pieces of stone, as opposed to little shards and chips. The pry bar, the pressure bar, will give you great big pieces of stone to make those larger spearheads and arrowheads, knives, things like that. As you can see, that's an extremely effective way to reach down in there and grab onto those stones and press off pieces. And sometimes you may need to use leverage, like use another stone or a piece of metal if you have it. You lay it on top of there, and you press on top of that. You press down on it. Snap off those chunks of stone to make your spearheads, like this spearhead right here. So by mastering how to use these two tools right here, you learn how to make spearheads, and learn how to make that perfect arrowhead and other stone works that you may need, knife blades or just anything. These two tools is the secret behind the stoneworking. So the next time you try making some stone knife blades or arrowheads or spearheads or whatever, try making a little hand holder like this, little thumb and fingers, and try pressing off some of the pieces of stone with a pry bar, and you'll see how well it performs. And the spearhead right here, you can see how large this stone is. It wasn't shattered off with a hammer or a strong blow. This stone here was pressed off with a large amount of pressure, just steady pressure, pinched right off with pressure. And that's how to get the big stones. And this technique works with all the materials, your bones, your shells, and of course stone, and even cast iron. All of these materials can be used with the pry pressure method.